Hello, welcome this evening to another moment of inspiration with your favorite relationship coach, Vivian Achu. Hope you had a great day and you're preparing to have a great night or a great time wherever you find yourself. This time, I'm going to talk a little about why women pursue and pray for relationships more than men do. In fact, why more women pray for relationships more than men do. It's just going to be a quick one. So you can share this with someone. It's going to help them. One of my goals is to have my page or my profile, my page be a place where you can come get counsel, get feedback, get some tips that can help you build healthy relationship at the end of the day. Okay, so in a society, you can see that more women talk more about relationship than guys do. When guys gather, they talk about football, they talk about work, they talk about a lot of things, games, betting, money. But I bet you when women gather, most of the time they talk about the guys in their lives or the men they want to have in their lives, the guys they've dated, the guys they want to date. If they have become married already, they're talking about their children or the problems their husband is giving to them. Women are always drawn to talk more about relationship. Women are drawn more to relationship than men. And I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with it. It's how God made it. In fact, when a woman finds her fulfillment when she relates properly. Relationships gives a woman her identity. That's the truth. Yes. And so a woman will thrive when she's in a healthy relationship. But what gives a man his identity is work. And from the fall of Adam, you see why. You see why. When God was speaking to the woman, he says your desire is going to be for your husband. Because you listen to the shepherd, your desire, you're going to give birth, you have pain in childbearing, but you're still going to desire your husband more at the end of the day. That is why you see a woman giving birth, she goes through a difficult labor, and she says, oh, I'm not going to do this again. Immediately, the child is even 6 months old. It's not even up to 6 months, she's already taken in again, because women are just like that. It's not a bad thing, ladies. You see, that's how God designed it to be. Women find their identity from relationship. So a woman will pray more about relationship. In relationship counseling, most times we have 90% of women coming. Sometimes when they come with the man, they just literally drag the man along. It's about 10% of men who call me to say, hey, I want to come in, my relationship has a problem. 10%. But 90% of women will bring their relationship issues. And about 50% of that, the men will not even want to show up. They don't want to sit before a counselor. They don't want to talk emotions. Because the truth is that that's not how men are. Sometimes when women ask, but why can't men just understand that this is what we need? And just, that's a very unrealistic expectation. If you have to just do your part and the guy will do his part. Now, I can encourage, I can encourage men to always get in touch with the women in their lives because it builds their esteem and stuff like that. But women, I'll ask you also to understand that this is how men were designed. Men find more fulfillment in work. So a man when a man has a problem in his relationship, what does he do? He goes and does more work. He goes and hang out more with his friends because he wasn't wired to handle emotional stuff. He wasn't wired to be that vulnerable. Yes, to be soft. Men were naturally not wired like that. This is why let me digress to say this, right? That is why as a lady you go to meet a pastor. You're having an emotional problem, you're having issues with your relationship, you're having emotional issues. The man or your male pastor is not the best person to share your emotional issues with. I say this a lot. Some people say that, oh, why did he go to the pastor and then the pastor ended up sleeping with her or stuff like that? Or not even the pastor. I'm just talking about a male figure. You go to a guy to explain to him that, oh, my boyfriend broke up with me, my husband is doing this to me. You're complaining about your emotional issues with the man. What is happening is that you're trying to draw the man into an emotional dimension. Men don't relate properly men don't handle themselves properly when they are emotional. When you introduce too much emotional stuff, it confuses their brain. Let me tell you, whenever you draw a man to an emotional side, he becomes sexually aroused. So you're explaining to a man that, oh, my boyfriend broke up with me, he did this with me, he slept with me, as you're crying and becoming emotional. In trying to help, he becomes sexually aroused. That is how you go to men to get help and they end up sleeping with you. That's actually the simple reason. I wish women could understand this. When you have an emotional issue as a woman, please go to another woman. We are emotional, so I can come down to your level. We can talk about it. I can be emotional like you, and I'll be able to help you. Do you understand? I'll be able to help you. But you go to a man, either the man will just say, please, I can't deal with this now. A man who is responsible will excuse himself from the situation. It's very rare. I mean, it's rare to see a man that can stand emotional discussion without involving a woman. If you actually want to be effective as a man in dealing with emotional issues with women, please do it in a park. Do it with your wife. Do it with other women involved. Don't trust yourself around a woman when she brings an emotional issue. Because when a woman is crying and she's emotional, she's sharing her stuff, she's in pain, the next thing the man wants to do is to hug. He wants to actually be caring, because I'm telling you, men were not wired to be that soft, tender, touchy. He can be that around his wife, because they can end up having sexual intimacy. They can end up having intercourse after that, you know. But since you are not his wife, he'll be struggling to manage that feeling. He's struggling to manage that emotion. He's struggling to manage it, and he can't. It only gets sexual. So men naturally are not emotional. So if you're getting a man to an emotional dimension, know that you're triggering his sex arousal. And when he gets sexually aroused, if he can't control himself, he'll end up sleeping with you. Which is why you hear stories like, oh, I went to explain my issues to him, he ended up sleeping with me. Because he was not the right person for you to explain those issues to. Now, I don't first of all understand why women don't like talking about emotional things with each other. Like, you have your fellow female friends, talk about it with them. No, you want to talk about your emotional issues with guys. You're putting them in trouble. Women, listen, it took me a long time to understand this. Never go to a guy and you're pouring out. Most times you're having issues in your relationship, you go to pour to another guy. You end up either sleeping with him or you end up dating him. You guys end up in an entanglement because you pulled him to that dimension. Men can talk about women with other men. Are we understanding? Like, they can talk about the issue, emotional stuff, although the feelings and marriage, relationship stuff with their friends. And they'll talk about it in a very intellectual manner. They'll talk about it in a very rational manner. But we women will talk about it in an emotional manner. We'll talk about it the way we feel. Sometimes we'll cry and we laugh and all that. We have all these emotional things around it, right? So when a man has issues, he's going to go back to work. But when a woman has issues, she's going to solve the issues first. Because once a woman is not emotionally stable, she can't work. But a man that is not emotionally stable will distract himself with work. He will try to do more work. He's going to try to spend more time working, which is the basic reason why men don't try to solve emotional problems. Which is why many women are the ones who go to pray for a relationship. Carry me there go, Jehovah, carry me there go, my husband's house. It was women. Have you seen men that are in a program, my wife, wherever my wife is, or carry me, or bring me the... Men don't do that. Men don't do that. When a man wants something, he's going to go for it. He goes for it mentally, rationally. But women, we have to be emotionally stable to be able to work. So guys, let me give you like a counsel. If you have a woman in your life, right, and you are facing emotional problems, you know that you can go and work. She's not going to be able to work until things are sorted out. Which is why it's very painful for a woman when you guys have an issue and then you go to bed without reconciling. Until you reconcile, she's not going to be able to focus. She's not able to concentrate. She's not going to be able to concentrate. So ladies, also just bear with our guys, right? Just bear with them. When you want a guy to come in for relationship counseling and he's resisting, don't think that because he doesn't love you per se. No, it's because they are not natural like that to come and be vulnerable. But we are. That's why 90% of married women are the one going for counseling to the pastors. It's not the men. It's a natural thing. Anytime call a relationship stuff, women will be there. Guys will just drag themselves. So women, most times, if when you want to have an emotional issue and you want to talk with someone, please talk with another woman. That's a boundary that's really going to help you, or talk with a council of women. Or if you're sharing it with a man, let the man be with his wife, or have another accountability partner present to preserve your own integrity. Because sometimes people fall into sexual stuff, entanglement, out of foolishness, not because they really plan to. You find somebody has ended up sleeping with another person, not because they really desired to. They just found themselves in the situation because they didn't really understand how this thing works. Okay, so when a man understands this about a woman, what does he do? I have this woman in my life. Okay, I have to come to cater for her emotional side. You're married, you're in a relationship, you're engaged. You know that the person you're in a relationship with, until she feels affection from you, she won't thrive. So when you guys have problems, sort it faster. And then the woman, if you're trying to get to an emotional point to deal with emotional things with a man and is resisting, don't think that sometimes he does not love you. No, just know that he's also struggling with it. He's struggling with it. And so we have to understand each other. What does that mean now in a relationship? It means that I have to be understanding of my husband when he can't, when he's trying to be, when he's rational, I understand. And when I'm emotional, he has to understand. Let's not say that, oh, you cry too much. See, the worst thing you can say to a woman is that, oh, you're too emotional. I'm like, how can you tell a woman she's too emotional? That is literally her. It's like telling me you're too Vivian. Yes, I'm Vivian. So I'm being too Vivian is not a new thing. It's normal. So telling a woman you're too emotional, or telling a man, how can't you not feel this thing now? You're just making as if you're not feel. The one day I asked my husband, how do you feel about this? He told me, I don't feel anything. Ask me what I think about it, because I don't know. I don't feel anything. I just think. I said, okay, what do you think about it? And he could express himself better. So we have certain clashes in relationship because we don't understand the basics, our basic differences as men and women. We don't understand these basic differences. Now, explaining these differences does not mean that you should say, oh, me, I'm emotional, I cannot be rational. No. Being in a relationship or married for a while has taught me intelligence, right? It has taught me how to be rational. So I know my emotional side, and now I'm learning to be rational because I'm with a man. And my husband is learning to be emotional, even though he's irrational as a man. That is how you work together. So you don't completely lose yourself for the other person, or the other person doesn't completely lose themselves. Both of you just fuse, merge, and become one whole. I also mentioned something about men who hold grudges, right? And some people were like, oh, it's an excuse for women not to take the responsibility. Let me tell you, women being the emotional ones, the ones on the emotional side, right? A woman can hold a grudge with somebody for a very long time. Listen, I'm not talking about Christianity here. I'm not talking about good or bad. I'm talking facts. Because I will not keep a grudge with someone for long. I'll not be angry and let the sun go down on my anger because of me. I'm a Christian. But you see, men don't keep grudges for long. Not a man can have a problem with another man. They are going to toast, drink, and forget about it. But you see, two women, they are going to drag the issue from January to December, and they will not still forget. They can reconcile, and they will still be dragging each other. So you see, the issue about dragging something for long is a woman's thing. That is why when the Bible talks about nagging, it simply mentions women, because women have a way. Nagging for me is simply defined like just prolonging things that should have just been fixed. Most times you see a couple or people in a relationship having problems. Now, those who are not yet married, most times it is the guy that goes to ask for apology. But you see, married, most times the women that ask for apology. Those some men will do. Because why? A woman can hold grudge with you from now to tomorrow. By that emotional, by our emotions, we are too emotional. We are emotional, so we pull a lot of things. We will drag it. We don't even feel bad about it. But a man doesn't have bandwidth to drag things. That's why I made a post that it was funny, though. I said a man that can drag things with women, like can drag an issue with a woman for a long time. I called him a mamayo, and people were laughing. Or a slay queen, because it is not in your nature to drag things with women. I always tell men, women have something in them that you have to ignore. Remember, talking gives them validation. So men don't talk much, but women want to talk more. So sometimes a woman is talking, sometimes just ignore her stuff. When you ignore a woman and try to pick out the one thing she's trying to say, you're going to have peace with her. But if you are picking on every single thing a woman is saying, you're picking on every single thing a woman is saying, do you know what's going to happen? At some point, you are going to be worn out because you were not wired like that. At some point, you lose your mind and you give up. But a woman can drag it from here to America to Asia and back, and she will not get tired. So, guys, when it comes to ladies, ignore some small things. When she's nagging, talking some things, pick out what she's actually trying to say, single it out, and deal with that particular thing. Don't drag it. Don't be arguing. Women can argue. You can never win an argument against a woman, guys, because they were designed for argument. They are wired for it. It's actually the fact of it's actually Christ in us, who are born again, that sometimes leads us to to like, oh, it's okay. The Holy Spirit has to intervene to say, but you see the normal natural woman, she will drag something from now to tomorrow. So when you have issues with the woman, please guys, let it go. Yes. Forgive her. If you cannot forgive her, or listen, the Bible says it's better to sleep on the roof of a house than to sleep in the same house with a nagging woman. Even God understands that a woman who nags is stressful. It's stressful. So let me tell you, if a woman knocks you out of your mind, please better abandon her and go. But you see, to be dragging things with her. I was solving an issue a few days ago of a man who has been angry with a woman for 11 months, for 1 year. I think more than 1 year. He has been angry with the woman for more than a year. He has not spoken to her. Even as he should be speaking, he's not talking to her. Like, he's still angry with one thing. I'm like, come on. Like, really. The woman has apologized, and he's not budging. Why don't you release her? Like, let go. You know. So I'm saying that it doesn't make sense to me at all. You know. So let's understand our basic differences. Lastly, sorry. Lastly, I want to caution, just give a little caution to people who are about to make choices for marriage. You're about to make a marital choice, and your basis for picking someone is just someone who can satisfy your sexual needs. This generation, I think that's what is prevailing. It's prevailing a lot. You want to get married, and your basic criteria, like your top criteria, is someone that can fulfill your sexual needs. How does that look like? You look for a woman with big in front, big behind, big glory. I always call it big glory in front and big glory behind. Women are looking for 6 packs, are looking for manhood sizes and all that. Like, come on, like you have needs. And let me tell you, I told some people, sexual needs are not a life-threatening need. You will not die if you don't have sex. You won't die. Your basic human needs are need for food, shelter. Their need for food, shelter. That is why if you don't have sex, you won't die. You're not going to die. Forget about it. So you can't be making a decision for lifetime to be with someone, and your major criteria is to meet your sexual needs. Come on. You have financial needs. You have emotional needs. You have relationship needs. You have parenting needs. You have intellectual needs. You need someone that will meet these needs at all these levels. And sexual needs is just one of them. So sometimes you see a very balanced reasoning person. They will pick someone that to you doesn't look sexually appealing, but you don't know what that man has seen. He has seen his children. He has seen, this woman can raise my kids. This man can provide. This man can be a good model for children. You know, this man. There are other things. He's intellectual. We can bond intellectually. We can chat. We can bond at various levels. There is a course I have titled Different Types of Intimacies, right? There are 12 different types of intimacies. Sexual intimacy is one. So you have many people, you're looking for a spouse to marry, and you've ignored 11 other things that you can become intimate with them. You have 11 other forms of intimacies that a couple is supposed to build before sexual intimacy. But today everybody wants to marry somebody with big in front, big glory, big in front, 6-pack, you know, muscles. Our selection criteria is basically sexual, and God needs to have mercy on us. God needs to have mercy on us. A couple can have the other 11 forms of intimacy, and they never even have sex. I dare to say this. I'm talking like someone who encourages couples to build their sexual intimacy. I'm not certified sex therapist, no. So I'm just saying this as a counselor in that area, right? Who encourages couples to. But I can tell you, if a couple can build the other 11 forms of intimacy, the 12, which is sexual, even if it does not happen, they'll be okay. They'll be fine. So focus on the other things of life, and let your sexual needs be the last. Let it be. It's very important, but it is the last. There are many other intimacies you need to build with a person before sexual intimacy, which is why people get into relationship, they are engaged, and you're like, the reason why people always enter a relationship and end up having sex, because they don't know that they have other intimacies they should build. As a couple who is about to get married, you're not yet supposed to have sex. No, I'm a Christian coach, so I'm saying that you build other forms of intimacy when you're in courtship, and sexual intimacy only happens after the wedding. So if a couple knows that they have 11 things to build, they have 11 things to build together. before they get to sexual intimacy. Your engagement is not going to be boring. Yes, your courtship period is not going to be just us just sitting around and having all these sexual desires that we are struggling to meet, right? So please, when selecting someone to spend the rest of your life with, don't put sexual needs as the topmost. I always say this: anybody can get better with training. With the right teaching, anybody can get better. Which is why we have sexual intimacy classes. I call it SIM classes, sexual intimacy in marriage classes. We have those classes. Everybody can be taught, everybody can get good at it. But you will not teach somebody, you will not be able to teach someone aesthetics. You won't be able to teach someone finances. You won't be able to teach someone in spiritual intimacy. I'm saying that those other things are also very important. They have to develop it before you get married to them. Okay, it's that's how relationship life is. So this evening, I hope that you've gotten something. Share with someone. December is coming around the corner, and a lot of marriages, weddings are already beginning to happen. We're going to have a premarital sex course before December. So if you're interested, slide into my DM. Let's talk about it. We're going to have a general class in September. So as many couples as possible can register. If you're married already and you want to be part of the class, please do. If you're still single, you're preparing. If you're preparing for your wedding, if you're single, please don't attend the class. If you're not preparing to get married, don't attend the class. It will not help you, because the Bible says, "Stir not love until it is time." If it's not time to have sex, why are you learning? Why are you getting into the practicality and the technicalities of sex? You're just going to stir your emotion, and you might end up masturbating or end up in pornography. So this class is only for couples that are preparing for their wedding. They have their wedding dates. They know that maybe this year they're going to have their wedding, and couples that have been married and want just to have a refresher and have a fresh start. Okay, because there's a need in that area, especially among the church, among Christians, and all that. We grew up in a setting where we didn't talk about sex. I always emphasize this. Fine, it helped us to keep our purity. It helped us to stay sexually pure. Then we got married. Nobody taught us about sex. And then we are wondering why Christians are suffering in their marriages sexually. So we want to be able to step in and solve these problems, especially among people who can't have an authority that is bold and courageous enough to talk to them about sex. You're about to get married. Your parents are just collecting the bride price. They haven't asked you, do you know what you're going to do? Our parents in Africa, they don't talk about this with us. In fact, we don't. It's a silent conversation we have. Everybody just assumes, or we just assume that you are supposed to know. But things are not working in many marriages. So we want to be able to lend a hand in that area. So in September, we're going to have a class to prepare for that. I've said just 2 sets of people: married couples and wedding couples who are planning for their wedding in the next few months. Okay. Those are the 2 sets of people we're going to have for that class. And so tonight, I just encourage you, go back to your relationship, respect the man in your life, love the woman that God has sent to you. When we have this balance, we're going to have healthy and happy relationships. Lastly, Father's Day is coming up on the 16th of June. Please, let's go all out for our fathers. Our biological fathers, our husbands, our brothers. Let's just go out there and celebrate the men. We've made a big deal about Mother's Day, Women's Day. Can we just make a big deal about Father's Day, so that men can get to feel warm and celebrated also around us? God bless you. Have a great night. Bye-bye.